All right, everyone. What's up, stream? We're going to do some prep for the week. Let me just go ahead and do the standard link, share it across the socials. All right. Sharing the links across socials, and then we'll go ahead and get started. So we are getting a gap up from futures, but it looks like they're selling off a bit. I did notice when I sat down there were some headlines. Looks like the U.S. and Israel are currently doing strikes on Iran right now. So there's some volatility there. We could actually look at CL future. Let's look at oil. Oil will tell us more than anything else. I did not expect to see oil futures actually gapping down with the headlines I'm seeing. But all right. It was healthy overall. So if I check 24-hour trading on Robinhood, are we kind of would expect to see that up, not down. Let me just look at a few names, just get a better feel for how we're going to open tomorrow. Down. Okay, wait a second. Futures is up. What's up? Is anything up? AMD down. So it's up on Monday, but it's just been selling off a little bit in the futures. I see. So it looks like we're going to open flat. Oh. That's not what I meant to click. Apple had a really good rally, and it's holding it. It's getting close to my target, actually. Oh, look, straight up. All right. Looking healthy overall. Looking at the data for this week. Holiday, of course, which is today. Consumer confidence, PCE, GDP quarter over quarter, initial jobless claims, and then PMI on Friday. So quite a bit on Thursday, but I don't really expect any of this to surprise. Consumer confidence will be interesting. I imagine that this actually surprises to the downside. Yep, jobless claims. So I'm watching this for the spike, but I don't think it'll actually react negatively to the market. It'll just be a factor of what's going on in their line. Let's take a look at earnings for this upcoming week. So we have Marvel, which will be interesting. Marvel's had been on quite the run. It's not one I've traded. I've actually been avoiding that name. Because it's one of those where I feel like I get a good entry and I don't know the full story, so I just kind of don't touch it because there's plenty of other things to play in the AI universe. SNPS is going to be interesting. Snow will be interesting. CRM will be another really interesting one. I think CRM should be a leader in the forefront of AI. I mean, the amount of stuff that they can utilize AI for if they're the delivery system of those AI functions to their customers. I guess the thought for a lot of people will be, oh, all the AI will be in-house, but we'll see. We'll see how that actually turns out for most companies. ZS is the name I've loved to trade in the past. Pony, I'm pretty sure Pony's the Chinese self-driving. Then we have Dell coming out. Next we have Autodesk. All right, I'll put this on the other screen. You know, right off the bat, actually, I'm really wanting to look at Autodesk. When's the last time I looked at that? Do I really have to do this for all of these? Sorry, guys. This happens when I am on my mobile setup. Let me just run through and do this. Okay. Take me to the daily. If you're watching, I was considering talking about the AIs we have at NBT, but we'll make some videos this week actually on the cool new stuff we're doing and the tools people can use. I also have a big live show coming out to talk about some of that with Wolf Financial, if you've heard of them. I guess I should tell people, if you're watching this either when it's happening or later on, go give Wolf a follow. Oh, that's not the right one. Don't follow that one. God, the bots are insane, dude. I freaking hate these losers that make all these bot accounts. There's people who do it to me too that will repost all of they'll download all my videos and repost them as fake videos. Okay, is my brain not working? Why can't I spell financial? There they are. Yeah. So go follow Wolf and their crypto account. They have a Wolf Bitcoin as well. Give them a follow. I'll be on their YouTube and on their X later this week with some big announcements. Both these accounts got a good relationship with the founders of this company. So go check them out and stay tuned for more content. Let's actually do some prep though, not just do an advertisement. Let's talk about things that could actually be helpful for investors. We got like an interesting wedge setup here. It looks like it had a failed breakdown at one point. I don't like the structure of that daily, but they're trying to pick a direction here. Curious what led to that recent sell-off. My gosh, look at that. Steady growth. The bigger they get, the faster they grow. Why the look at this stock while their earnings have, their financials have stayed incredibly consistent. Is there something on the picture I'm not missing? No. That's quite a bit of debt, actually. But they got enough cash on hand to carry the debt. They're healthy. They're very healthy. Great company. Should this company be on the forefront of robotics? I'm going to keep an eye on this one, actually. When is that earnings report? That earnings comes out on Thursday? Let's see. You get over 251 again. You get a day that closes over that. I think you could get a big rally coming. I like the coiling though. The coiling tells me we might get a nice explosive move. Nothing there. Okay. That's an interesting one to have on the radar, quite honestly. It might be, earnings might get a pop, and then you got to play day two. And it looks like, just glancing at this name, it looks like day twos are pretty freaking hard. So we'll see. We'll see how that turns out. All right. Let's run through the other data companies. Snow's had a nice recovery heading into its earnings. I mean, look how big this 185 is. If you've been trading with me, price has the memory. It's going to remember rejecting here. So if you can climb over 185 and actually hold it, this can set something up. But until then, I'm pretty hands off. MDB also has earnings. I think some of the positive reactions these have had is in relation to Datadog. With this thing at new highs, I feel kind of not bad as a holder because I know a lot of sales reps that work for Datadog that have been telling me this company's doing amazing. It's just, regardless of what they're saying, I thought this chart looked like trash. No, it's hot. I'd wait for it to consolidate here. I don't know. Doesn't look too exciting. What about BBY? Some of these retail names that have been really beaten down with weak consumers. Here, give me a second. I gotta. Oh, I should check, by the way, and see if there are any stock requests. Okay, so we do have a few stock requests. Okay, I will get to those guys. I will. And if you leave a comment on the live stream, I'll also get to those names. Best Buy actually has kind of a nice setup here. Looks like it's trying to break out. Looks like these breakouts have failed in the past. But there's a clear trend line here where it failed. It failed, and then looks like the failure to break out sent it under a major support that it had defended twice. So you get this failed breakout, plunges down here. Now it's done a full recovery. If earnings delivers, you already got a daily TTM that wants to flip. You already got a healthy RSI structure. So if you could get a bid through this might actually start to set up an interesting opportunity. So I'd watch this over 64 here. It's confirmation. A little late even. Wouldn't play it in the earnings. I have no edge. I've not been following it well. That's just what I see at a glance. Is like the story here looks obvious to me. So a breakthrough recovery, just a trading momentum, just looking at the technicals, could bring more attention to the name. Let's look at Costco that has earnings coming up. And the rejection at the end of last week was brutal for Costco. But you did get this breakout to all-time highs and this immediate rejection. Wednesday. They have it listed for July. Hold on, guys. Let's double check our info here. I am seeing it is Thursday. Date is... They have an estimate sign here because they don't know, but listing it for July 26th is way off. I don't know if it got moved. You're pulling back to a previous support range. It's still healthy upside move, quite honestly. I am a shareholder here with a pretty large position. Sitting at healthy profits. I think I bought down here and bought more here. So I wouldn't even mind this pulling all the way back to 1,000. That might be a good time to buy up some calls. Looks good. Let's look at momentum indicators. Isn't that crazy? This thing flipped negative on the monthly and hit all-time highs anyways. Actually nuts. I'm not gonna lie, that actually has really strong downside confluence. So I'll keep an eye on it. I feel like Costco is one of those names that I have in my long term because I think people underestimate the effects AI and robotics can have on brick and mortar businesses, especially when it comes to their warehousing, especially for a company like Costco that only deals in like large bulk sales and does almost everything in house. Like they have their own chicken farms for their chicken. That's why their chicken's cheaper than literally everyone else. This company is just like crazy impressive and treats their employees stupid well. I don't know. It's hard not to own it. So if we get a vicious pullback on Costco, I might buy more. But I might want to sell some calls here just for the look at the setup. But it's not enough to get me to sell. What do I want to look at? Let's actually pivot to some requests, and then I'll go through a few more of the upcoming earnings names. Like I usually would. Someone wanted me to look at car. After a big squeeze like this, like dies off, these become difficult. You're actually getting the squeeze indicator to fire on the TTM, but I don't trade off that ever. Oh, yeah. You might be looking for like a back test at 200 before you continue the meltdown. Where was this before the squeeze? 142? Look at that, actually. This area of resistance that caused the rally has become a strong support. 1, 2, 3 defense of it. So if you wanted to short this further, you gotta break that. That's there's buyers there. There's a lot of buyers there. I'm actually curious on what we got for Friday. What I'm looking at here is we have a nearly 100% win rate on this spot. When we get 5 grade check marks here, these become A tier shorts with nearly 100% win rate if it meets all 5 of our parameters. So These are the names on watch if you're looking for something to short. Car doesn't look like it to me. Just that 140 defense. We can even pivot to watching these, but let me finish going over the requests. We did have a request to look at Hood. I was actually already looking at Hood today. I'm not gonna say why. I'm gonna leave that for the pro members because that has to do with my long-term portfolio. I'm making some changes, and I don't make a lot of changes there at all. Hood to me looks like it might get another month of consolidation potentially before we probably make another major move higher. This just looks like a strong area of consolidation, and one of the reasons I say that is because like the RSI structure here clearly bearish on the 2-day, TTM's clearly bearish on the 2-day. Our relative volume stupid weak. There's not a lot of participation here, not a lot of activity right now, but the weekly is actually trying to improve. We can see the RSI structure got the denial at 50, but isn't below 30 or anything dramatic. So you're not really getting enough activity to break through any major key levels. So this could be these periods where like people with convictions will slowly buy, people with no convictions will slowly sell. And then when you get to that dynamic changes where there's more people with convictions start FOMOing into it, that's when you get the explosive moves, right? You get these periods of accumulation where people who don't really believe in it because it's going sideways and going nowhere, they'll sell it for names that they believe more strongly in, right? It's a great time to buy. This earnings reaction is really interesting to me because actually if you dig in the fundamentals here, we did pretty well on earnings. How do I actually change this to quarterly? They changed all this. All right, we'll look at it here. Yeah, so they had only a slight miss despite how much the crypto side of the business fell, which is ironic because despite this business model being extremely sturdy, it still has this very close relationship with how Bitcoin's trading, which at this point feels silly because they're so diversified now and they have such a healthy cash balance and there's so many different aspects of the business now, especially with the AI agents they're making. That might be the one thing I don't like about them because I don't think they'll actually be leader in AI. And that comes from someone who owns a financial company that is making AI agents. And when I compare the rumors of what they got versus what we have, I'm like, oh my God, we are dusting them. Like, we have AIs that are literally printing money, and they have some that like help do technical analysis and, goofy shit. It's like, okay, all right. So it sounds like you're like a year behind us minimum. So, but that's okay because it's still set up to be like a future Goldman Sachs, future Charles Schwab, because those companies, despite someone who uses Thinkorswim every day, I think they're falling behind. I think Bull is also set up to perform well, but this one, I actually cut this one before the earnings because my rule here was you break under this again. I really tested my hands, but recovered on the day on this break. And then when this doji formed, as soon as it closed below 7, out, cut everything. And since then, it's just plummeted. I mean, isn't that just ugly as all get out? Despite that, I think the dips will probably become buys, especially if this thing can catch bids. I might even set an alert here just to remind myself to look at it because this is a big key level here. As you can see, this is a big area of support. When it broke, it gave way to a big plunge, and then became an area of resistance. When it broke through that, it became a big reaction to the upside. So I'll keep an eye on it, see what it sets up in the future. I do think the market is unfair to this name. I think some of the wild moves are just weak hands with no real convictions in it. Because retail loves the Webull. Retail loves to hold the Robinhood. So they overreact, and that overreaction creates great opportunities for investments and trades. What else did we look at? There was another request, wasn't there? Let me check. Man, I don't know what you want me to say about bonds. We were close to, okay, last week we wrote this up because we were close to like a literal financial crisis. And I literally wrote up in the weekly report last week that we had to see bonds catch a bid. We know because Scott Bassett really took an emergency flight to Japan because of what was happening in their market was causing some weakness in the U.S. markets. We looked like we're at risk for another carry trade blow up like we had in 2024. But buyers stepped in last week. They saved the day. So it's weird to see this kind of price action. I should say it's weird because we have a new Fed chair coming up. And so we do tend to see more speculative movements in the bond market as we get closer to that transition period. And even after the new Fed chair steps in, there could be some weird patterns out of the market as they kind of feel him out. But where it's at right now is concerning. Let's say that. Let's not call it weird. Let's just call it concerning. Because, yeah, if you lose 80 on TLT, I'll be shaking in my booties if TLT gets below 80. Let me say that. I'll be shaking in my booties. Potentially looking for equities to take a nosedive. Because let me tell you what, SPY is not paying attention to what's going on in bonds. At all. And I don't blame it for not paying attention. Because even if rates went up another full percent, another full point, are we going to stop with the data centers? Are we going to stop with the AI? Are we going to say, screw these companies? We're not going to pursue the technology of the future. We're no longer going to build drones. We're no longer going to build robotics because interest rates went up another percent? No. So okay, it's more expensive, but the march will continue, so if you wanted to scalp it, because surprise, like options on TLT can move extremely well if you're an options trader. Like these pay really well. You couldn't even give them tons of time, but if you get that direction right, they can pay very well. I would look for a scalp back to 87. 86 even, and maybe it actually bounces to 88. Maybe you get that move. That would be the only thing I'd be looking for here. It'd be hard to bet on anything other than that, because like the big thing here, I don't really want to talk about this too much because people usually like zone out. Oh, I don't want to change interval. Well, I gotta do it this way. 10-year yields. Sorry guys, give me a second. I think I got something in my eye. Okay. Okay. This is probably the most concerning thing about yields is, this looks like no big deal, like a breakout, but it's really important when we talk about yields. So you see this trend line break? This looks like a nothing burger until you realize that the peak of that is 1981. So that's a 40-year breakout on U.S. rates. 40 years. Okay? And this is actually a much bigger conversation where you have one party of people who say this is a 40-year breakout. It's us entering into a new regime of higher rates And AI is going to create a more productive economy where rates can actually afford to stay higher. And it will, and like it doesn't matter if they go higher because we're going to be so productive and things are going to be so good with AI and robotics and everything. Like they're just background noise. It doesn't matter. There's the other party who I wouldn't say doesn't believe in, some of them don't believe in the AI story. But they think that, I guess there's three groups technically, but they think that rates are going to go up. It's going to crush the economy and then they're going to need to come back down. And so they would view this as something like, let me just pull up my fibs from the low to high and look to see if we hit a turning point where this is just a retracement over the last 40 years. And then from here, maybe they're looking for like 6.5% to be where this actually starts to trend back to the downside over the next, 10 years, 15 years. Because they don't believe that there's any way with the way the world is and with the K-shaped economy. For the explanation of K-shaped economy is that the extremes are growing rapidly. So extreme poverty is rapidly growing at the same time that extreme wealth is rapidly growing. And the middle class is dying. People who don't even study economics, I think, are plainly aware of this. But because it's the norm for all of human history. However, it is rapidly, we used to have a U. I can't make a U with my hands. We used to have a U. Okay. Why am I even using my hands? What am I, Trump? We used to have a U. Now we have a K with this being the rich people and this being the broke people, right? But now this chart, and we'll say this is where we were, all right? This is where we were like 10 years ago. And now this chart almost looks something like this. Okay? And like all the growth in the different sectors is coming from the super wealthy and the poor, and then there's like no one here. In fact, we'll just do dead eyes because there's like no middle class anymore at all. Like it's gotten more and more and more extreme, right? So can an economy that has no middle class, that has a slowing growth of its population, that has an older generation with rising expenses and a younger generation that's not making shit, actually sustain itself? Or there'll be a retirement crisis where the poor start to revolt, where violent crime spikes up, where the economy goes to shit because, and we have to bring rates down. And the people who think that rates can be persistently higher are completely drunk off their ass idiots. Which is, I pitch that narrative that way, not because that's where I fully sit in that camp, although I that's probably the least surprising outcome in my opinion, is that AI does meet all the expectations everyone has, and it does create more jobs, but there's a gap there. There's a gap between new jobs being created, where things are kind of shit and the government has to fix them and rates have to come down. And keep in mind, even if we were going to use like classic technical analysis, you can even kind of see it here. And, you treat this like any other bullish move, right? You would treat this like, oh, what we're looking for is some, 5-wave pattern, right? And honestly, if that's wave 1, wave 3 should be something crazy, bigger than 1. Actually, I didn't intend to actually do Elliott wave analysis here, but I think if I was going to, it would probably look something like this, and then a complex 4, and then a 5 is coming. I think that's how I would do that. And I would need to go to the weekly. Perfect 618. So that can definitely be a wave 2. Aren't you fed up? Yeah. Oh, actually, we're on a weekly. I do need it. I do need this to be in linear. So that might not actually be wave 3. It all depends on what the 5-wave pattern within this looks like, though. So there's definitely a third wave within the third wave. That is actually possible. Let's look at the retracements of the subwave pattern here. That's totally possible. That's totally possible as well. So this could be one of the counts, actually. It also could be it's also possible that this is the count. Yeah, so that's actually possible that this is the wave count and that this is a complex AB. Hold up. That would be one, two. Let me look at 1, 2, 3. A, and then there is a pivot there. C. If that were true, I'd want to see 1. It can go to 618 though, which is where it goes. It can. It's cleaner if it's 1. B waves can retrace over 5th wave patterns. If they do have clean fibs like that, it does make them likely, and it does, unfortunately, which I'm not a fan of because that makes it really harder to chart. So, shit, this is probably the wave count, guys, because it's too clean. It's way too clean. So I'd watch this 5% right here. And if it breaks above that, then look for it to go here. And that would be another A. This would be your B. And then you're looking for one of these to be the C. And in fact, I'm sorry, that's your B right there on the double bottom. Because it's a 1, 2, 3 within that. You see the 1, 2 is 1, 2, 3. There's usually 3 wave patterns, which each 3 wave pattern. So there's usually an ABC within an A of an ABC. I'm sorry if that's confusing. Go take the course over on my website. It's completely free. But that's probably likely what this wave count is because it's extremely clean with the fibs. The fibs don't lie. So you're probably looking to see if C actually takes you to 5. What makes this awkward is it is climbing over the 5th wave, but that is possible. That is possible. It's just rare. 40-year breakouts are also rare. I have nothing else to say about that. What sucks is that means our technical analysis really isn't telling us much because that's a 5-3-3. So then how this reacts after this completes the touch back to 5% is literally everything. Because then you're looking either for a 5-wave pattern like this, or you're looking for a 5-wave pattern of this. I'm not being exact with levels. But that's when the new trend would appear. And in my opinion, that's when we're going to see who wins the argument between the whole thesis I laid out on where rates are going and what the future looks like. And keep in mind that is also like the more minor version of the more serious argument of if AI and robots do everything, what does everyone else do? Who knows? I don't have an answer for that. If you do, let me know. But I haven't heard a good one, and I listen to I'm blessed to be able to talk to a lot of smart people on a very regular basis, and none of us know or feel confident about it. So, Dick's Sporting Goods with a really tight wedge here. I probably will clip up the rate thing as a separate YouTube video. That's important. If you didn't follow it, I'll upload it as a separate video. You can watch it a few times. Use AI to do a summary and then ask it questions. You know, you'll be able to talk to our AI soon on our website as well. So, and it will be trained on financials. So that's something that you can utilize in the future. This looks really good. Let me take that off log. Oh, dude, this looks really good. This looks like a top tier setup. Oh. DKS. One second. Let me share this with Discord members. Like the confluence over multiple time frames, the way it's tightening up. Let's see. Let's see if it has. Oh, dude, like this is such a huge level here. So this would be the only thing you need to watch out for. I feel like the last time we did one of these prep videos on YouTube, we were literally talking about this, and it came to fruition on. I don't remember which name. I'd have to go back and look. But I warn you guys that sometimes when we do have these TTM setups between the weekly and daily, they do these brittle patterns, where they kind of go for these breakdowns, so they kind of rug everyone, and then they make the explosive move actually up. We did kind of have that set up, especially since there's a lot of resistance above around 240, between 237 and 240. There's a lot of resistance. But I'll tell you what, the way that monthly looks to me is beautiful. Like our RSI almost came in touch 50, with the stock being a whole 60 points higher. That beautiful reset on the RSI gives this so much room to run to the upside. That's nice. It resets it, gives it a lot more room to run while also confirming the highs. That's what you want to see. That's beautiful. Beautiful structure there. I'm not going to include these. I'm just going to write that up real quick. Give me a moment. Discord links in the bio if you want to join. Say hi. I'm not the only person in the Discord, by the way, that answers questions. We have a full analyst team. Which, by the way, I don't think our members utilize enough. You know, we have a level 3 CFA. We have a lot of hedge fund managers, other traders. I talk to them all the time. But team is everything, man. It's a solo game, but you can have help setting up your plans. All right. Next on requests. I'm going to pull these up on my phone because it's going to be a little bit quicker. Okay. Big compliment on the newsletter. Newsletter is completely free. Go check it out, guys. Appreciate that. Although I'm late on the next report. It comes out tonight. What the Does this have good earnings? No shot. Show me this thing. D-Wave won $100 million CHIPS grant? Oh, so it wasn't even from the earnings. What? Oh, I'm typing it wrong. Ooh, that's a beautiful chart, dude. Oh. You know, I was looking at these 2 weeks ago, and I thought they might be interesting over the breakout levels, but I said I wasn't going to play these. I was only going to play IIQ, and I did not play IIQ. I don't know. So this made an explosive move on Friday and just snuck up on me because I was honestly looking for this move over 60. Look, they even flipped the monthly. No fucking shot, dude. Holy crap. Excuse my language. You dirty dogs. You snuck that one by me. And I was even looking for it. Dude, IBM can easily go to new highs with this setup. All these war headlines. You know, I even hedged over the weekend, and what's so tough about this market is I'm like kind of waiting for someone to nuke a vicious pullback and then buy. And you got stuff like this where it's like this setup is way too good to ignore. Like if we didn't have a backdrop of like this, all this geopolitical nonsense, I'd be slamming size into this. Like size into this. You know, especially with all the money that Trump just put in the quantum. Well, the Trump admin. You know Trump's put a ton of money on this too. He's been, more stock trades than anyone else in Congress over the last 3 months? God, that's just... Let me share this. Discord members. Like, I think this thing's going above the all-time highs. What? That's another 60 points. Oh, I'm sorry. It's 248 right now, so it's another 70 points. 75 points higher. I think easily. The only question is, how clean can I get the entry? I set 3 alerts looking for these key fib pullbacks, but I'll tell you what, I probably buy her at 251 and I double down at 244 with a 240 stop. Shit. You know, the problem with setups like this is that technically the setup's not dead until it breaks 231. But you'll get a few more days. This will drift up, so it probably will be 240. This will drift up and confirm the breakout. This is a big, big level. Look how big this level is. What is this, the fourth name we looked at? With like huge key levels with like 6, 7 big pivot points at these prices. Gosh, I feel like there's that explosive move coming. It's just all over the charts, man. $700 target. Oh, I'm sorry, 700. Oh, it is 4. 700. This monthly better be fine. You could add this to the list of names that piss me off. Look, it's a perfect pullback, dude. I remember calling this out and saying it's a bit hot back last year and saying with the monthlies firing. I remember this calling out because one of our members loaded the freaking boat at like 235 or something. And look, it pulled back, perfect fib number, and just launched into this third wave higher. Just launched. And I'm not going to say it out loud, but members already know it's a perfect, it's our best strategy. I mean, it's right. I just scanned over it, but if you're an NBT member and you've taken the course, you already see it there. It's literally our best setup, signaling that fucking huge move way early. Way early. But I didn't take it. I missed all of it. It's fine. At least someone made some money, right? At least some members got rich. God, drives me nuts. 700 looks a bit ambitious to me. I know with the way this is set up right now, which is just, this is me answering a member asking about 700. The way this is setting up right now, circle's too big. Also too big. See, I have this new high, right? Where's my RSI confirmation on the daily? So if I come to the weekly here, and like I need to see this pushing a new high soon. Doesn't mean the rally's done. It just means there could be a period of consolidation. You know, for these AI names, you kind of always got to refer back to NVIDIA to kind of understand what these things can do when they stop confirming highs. When they stop confirming highs, you could still get some pushes higher, like hearing from NVIDIA. We stopped confirming the high, but then you could get these sharp pullbacks. Now, these sharp, vicious pullbacks could pop straight back to new highs, though, because AI, right? But just be aware of that type of structure there. So, could they go to 700? Man, dude, sure. Why not? Why not? I guess is kind of the mindset you have to be at for some of this stuff, man. You know, my computer, this new computer I bought, it's the first time I've had not Intel, and it's a beast. And it doesn't have an Intel chip, it has an AMD. All right, let's do another request here. If I have any more. I already looked at IonQ. Oh, there's a lot of quantum here, guys. Someone asking about gold. I think we just covered gold last week. I actually have gold and silver always up. just to keep tabs on them. I think silver here looks a bit more interesting with the way it's defending this breakout range. The thing with gold is I don't have it yet. Like, I would probably use that as the trend line. It's a little messy, but I at least have 3-point touch on this. And it looks like one giant triangle. It actually looks like a big triangle there. I just don't see it. I don't see it yet, man. It probably goes higher. Fundamentally, I think silver and gold will go higher. Silver looks better than gold. It's defending this breakout as well. I just want to see the weekly flip. When this weekly flips, let me also just say that even holding these levels, like, okay, actually, let's back up a little bit here before I make everyone bullet bearish. Is this really all the data I have? 1 second, guys. Let me pull this up. So here's the last 100 years in silver. Typically, these really parabolic moves look something more like this. Like in the 80s, right? So, within the same year, looks like within 3 months, this thing had a, what's that, from 35 to 13? That's a 60% retracement in a matter of 3 months, right? So that's what silver usually does when it goes parabolic. So it's been 1 to 3 months, right? And silver has gone down. It did 45%. Right now it's down 38%. That's a nothing. It's half the move it usually makes. So before you get all bared up about it, I just want to say, we've already, technically within the next 6 days, we'll already be in the this time is different scenario. Okay? It's a different world that we live in, not just domestically, but globally. So, with the rates and breakout and everything, people are wondering, are we going to get a mean reversion? And I think that rare metals are what's kind of staring a lot of traders in the face, saying, no. And no. The world you knew 10 years ago does not exist. And it's not coming back anytime soon. That's what that chart tells me. Does that make me want to buy more of it right this second or chase it with some call? It actually does make me want to buy it. I'm not going to lie. Does it make me want to buy call options, though? Not really. Not here. It's holding the breakout, but all I've done is kind of just taken some scrapes, trying to feel it out, trying to see if we're going to get, big moves off of this. My first alert is set over 71 to look for the gap fill to like 75. The big move is this thing goes back to 92. It's going straight to all-time highs. Mark my words. You know, those big gaps right there, and that's where it gets easier. The momentum's really carrying all the FOMO to this in this thing. Give me a second, guys. We do have some more requests, but I forgot. I forget to post this for members. CRLM. Sure, we could look at that. Stop for me. I'm not interested in that. It looks like extended consolidation. You need over stocks like this can sneak up on you if they do something like a pop over this, but I need that full pop before I get interested, or some sort of news headline. What will probably happen with, this is critical metals, right? So it's probably part of the MP story. So stuff like this will do explosive move through, and then all the people who have been sitting and bag holding it will drag it all the way back down, and then you'll get the real trend. And so shit like this, I'm in no rush. I'm in no rush. Literally just describe that. The next request is exactly that. Finally get the move, bag holders take it all the way down. And now we actually have the real trend where higher lows are coming in, right? Like literally gave you the lesson, and boom, here's Exhibit A. Exhibit A. That's funny. Yeah, he's trending higher. I say Arval is actually relatively healthy for a small cap name because $6 billion is pretty small in this space. Actually, what's MP at? Am I dreaming? I think I have MP fairly priced at like 125 though. Full fundamental report on MP is on the Substack. Man, it really tried to break that setup but came back and defended it. This is actually my top stock holding at around like 44, 45, I believe. No, I'm way off. I have a 56 average, actually, for MP. My thesis for this being a top holding, by the way, is that I don't really need the AI story to work. I just need there to be continued geopolitical turbulence. And this stock is a national security issue. That's my thesis. Economy could go to shit, everything blows up. We still need this. We still need those freaking magnets, man. Looks like we're all out of the requests on the DMs, by the way. I didn't really give an answer on USAR. I don't know. I just prefer MP. I mean, this is kind of the same thing. It's just like, unlike CRLM. This has a clear trend. Like a very clear trend. There was another rare metals company that was starting to work with Ford, and with the new energy market that Ford's in, it was like a Canadian company actually that Trump added to the U.S. portfolio. I'm trying to think if I can remember who the ticker was. I don't think I can. It was a small company. They were like worth $2 billion when he made that announcement, and they like tripled. I can't think of it though. Sorry. Let's see if there's any requests on the live stream. If not, I'm gonna run through my regular names. Josh the Goat, appreciate it. Appreciate the love, bits of wealth. Yeah, brother. Live show Thursday, everyone. What do we want to look at next? Scanning news and stuff. We were going to go through the short squeeze indicator. Oh, CRML is actually one of the short squeeze names. Well, that makes it a lot more interesting. Holy shit. This makes this a lot more interesting. Hold up. I'm looking for reasons why the squeeze won't work. That was the 13th. Jeez. Huh? The director sold like 50,000 shares right before this earnings. And we haven't had earnings since. This is likely wrong. It's probably coming up soon. That kind of tells me the fundamentals aren't great. So, I mean, what you really got to watch for this is just like if Trump hits it with another headline, this thing can get a massive short squeeze. Well, that means it's worth putting an alert on, although probably what will bring my attention to it is news, not an actual breakout. But that does make it notable. It makes it worth watching. That's ironic there. Hertz, this is another massive short squeeze. God, like half of CRLM was short, and it's even more for Hertz. You know, at $5, it's crazy that this didn't catch like a move like car and turn into a full blown meme stock. Like this is a nice meme stock range, quite honestly. I mean, more super simple trend lines here, like super simple wedge setting up here. Like, you do love it when it looks like that because you at least get some sort of move usually, especially with a coiling pattern. Do we want to look at the financials? Do we want to see the horror show of what this probably is? God, they went this shit really fast. Like, really fast. Look how freaking ugly this chart is, dude. I love squeezes. I don't got nothing. RX, isn't this the Vivek Ramaswamy company? It is, right? Maybe it's not. I thought it was. No, he had Revenant. Revenant? It's not Revenant. Revenant? Revant? Ugh, what a vomit. What a word vomit, dude. Read that. Clinical stage biotechnology company that combines automation, artificial intelligence, machine learning, vivo validation capabilities to discover novel medicines. My God. I'm surprised people can stomach all that. My gosh. It's like AI, write GPT, write me every keyword investors want to hear to invest. Hymns. We don't really need to look at hymns. I look at hymns every week. Hymns is still holding on to life here. Holding on to dear life, man. The setup is still there. It's barely there. I want this thing to hold 20. We're still doing pretty good. Like, I doubled down at 14, but I also have been holding it since here. So, you know, we're not in the best shape, but it could be worse. I think the fundamentals are still great, but I would like these technicals to hold up. It's crazy to see it so short, though. Surprisingly, there's more shorts on HIMS, by the way, than there is on RXRX. This might be interesting with Kohl's. You know, I used to be able to do my Amazon returns at Kohl's, and no, Amazon no longer gives me that option. Did they lose that deal? Because I know when I would go do Amazon returns, sometimes I would buy something at Kohl's with that Kohl's cash. I'd be like, oh, I guess I'll go look. Otherwise, I'd never step foot in this place. This can pop either way, and if it pops to the upside, it'll give confirmation to the weekly. And just a setup on the chart here, like if we have good earnings, looks like earnings is this week. Did I miss that on the earnings calendar? I did. It's on Thursday before the bell. It's like 5.2 million shares. It's what's on FINRA. So that only maps out to 24.35% of the float. If you have a good earnings, maybe this turns into a good lotto. It's worth looking at the contracts they're pricing in into this week. Let me type this out real quick. So, by the way, the names I'm going through, for those of you who might be joining a bit late or a little confused, what I'm looking at here is one of our AI models. This is Ready. Ready's named after Reddit, which is where it started the short squeeze mania. And Ready's only job is to track short squeezes. Now, when Ready gives us all the short signals, it's Ready telling us that this is actually the end of the rally. So it's really hard to know before short squeeze begins, because usually they're like a news catalyst or they're just random from social media engagement. But we can have Ready tell us when the high is likely in with extremely high probability. So we have Ready tell us like what are the names that are most likely to squeeze on these reports that he sends us. And then we have him tell us when the high is likely in. So there's two ways to handle that. If you don't like playing meme stocks, you can ride it till Ready says, hey, top's likely in. Or you could start shorting it when Ready says, hey, top's likely in. And our backtest analysis, especially on CAR, when it comes to like this short squeeze, we actually hit this short squeeze on CAR, but I got in a bit early. If Ready had been fully operational at this time, Ready would have been within $1 of the high. Within $1 of the high. So we're really excited to have him because he puts, he's one of the many AI tools that we've launched that put stuff on your radar, and you don't have to pay as close attention when you got little workers like that doing their job. Let's adjust this a little bit. Make it. What else do I want to look at? WGS. What is this? It's a holdings company. Medical and nursing services. What is it, like a REIT? Health intelligence company. So it's a shitty version of Twist. When did Twist start doing this? Holy balls, dude. This chart is beautiful. Look at that. Hold up, guys. Interesting. Twist has been getting upgrades, actually. Give me a second, guys. I was really hoping I would see like Renaissance as a top holder. That's what I was looking at. I don't know these guys. I feel like I probably should. So it's just a smaller BlackRock that kind of does everything. I want to see like a big specialized holder. You know, like with names like this, what I want to see is like Renaissance as a big position or something. Someone who specializes in the medical companies. This definitely looks like a much smaller company. And they hold a very large position. They got a podcast. Yeah, they're definitely smaller. Yeah, very small team. That's cool. I know William Breyer, State Street, Vanguard, BlackRock, usual suspects. This chart looks really good though, man. Because this looks like um, the end of this looks like the end of a big consolidation period. And so what this looks like is potentially you just did a wave one. I'm gonna cheat, and by cheat, I'm gonna use the Bowden method real quick and just look for upside targets. The Christina Bowden method, one of my favorite methodologies. Finding extension points, and a chart like this has all sorts of interesting patterns here. Take that down there. And then we want to do the big one. This is the big one. From that low to that high to that low. Show me where are the clusters. Huge cluster here. Huge cluster here. Big one at the current target. There's another one here. I'd call it there. And then another one here. All right, now let's clean this up. So that's your multi-year target. I think I accidentally deleted one of my lines. Wait a second. I did. And look at that. Look how well those fib clusters pair with big key levels on the stock, man. So whether you want to use a board, because literally I could have just gone through and just looked for key pivot points, probably came to the same conclusions. But if we also do the fib extensions, then we kind of have a cheat sheet for where we should likely see big, where our wave pattern should play out to. Either method, when you have price history though, it's just beautiful. It's just beautiful. This one's a bit odd, but the rest of these, so clean, man. So clean. Let's see. I think this is a wave 2 right here. And so it looks like you might be... Oh, I didn't mean to delete that. I'm bringing that back. Looks like that's wave 2. Wave 3 could be something crazy then. You know? The big question here is if this is the wave 3 within the wave 3. Look, that takes you right to the 100 level. And then this would be the larger wave, which has potential for 181. This started in 20, so that would bleed into 2027. Shoot, I love. Let me explain. The reason I love this chart is we've set a major low, much higher than our previous low. I mean, honestly, this thing's got a freaking beautiful double bottom off its IPO. Got this higher low, this multi-year period of 2022. This thing fell off my radar. It's off everyone's radar, and I'm the biotech day trader. Like this is the shit I follow. Fell off my radar because of all their financial issues, right? That's what initially led to this big bleed here. But just glancing at the chart, looks like we've seen some improvements in that department, and now this thing's going for this multi-year breakout. So this thing gets back over 65. Even here, I'd be willing to take it just to feel it out. Let's look at how extended it is on the daily. It's not even that extended. So I'd be willing to take it with a 52 stop. You'll take a lot of pain depending on how far out you go. If you buy from leaps here, you'll take 30% loss from an entry here. So you might want to chase with better confirmations on the actual breakout. I wonder if there's some better trend lines that we can draw here. I mean, it looks like it's setting up a parallel channel that it will dance in. Actually, it looks like the starting point for that parallel channel is like right here. No? Is it here? And then you get that failed breakdown. Yeah, you want to see the entire trend right in this. Pretty much. Looks like I was a little off on that one. It'd be like that. And if it breaks at the top of it, upgrade it. Upgrade the setup. I think that looks amazing. One second, guys. Let me. I'm actually gonna shoot this one over to a friend. And this is a great find. Let me get this one in the Discord. Let me check how long we've been streaming, by the way, because I'm moving at the pace of a freaking snail. Dude, we've been going an hour and a half, and how many names have I covered? 8? I gotta pick up the pace, guys. What? I'm having too much fun. Yeah, I don't usually talk so much when I'm doing these. Let's look at Walmart real quick, just as a heartbeat on retail names, because there's a few retail names that we looked up with earnings coming up that looked pretty decent. This looks like a high quality short, though. We'll see. Walmart's a hard name to short, but it looks like you're going to see something like this. So maybe you can bounce off this weekly support below 113. Watch out. You know, I think this thing's continuing to rally because of the diversification in healthcare, the reworks in many of the stores, and then the efficiency in warehouses is a big one for these retail names. But Walmart is like on the bleeding edge of that with SIM being a big leader. But I don't like that's not trending with the other names. But I think it's an interesting time to keep an eye on that sector. Let's look at Etsy here. Looks like ass. Has shop bottomed? I don't think it has. I think we'll get to pop to 70 soon. Maybe before the end of the month. Oracle now firing to the upside. Oracle still a top watch over 200. Goldman Sachs looks like it's just getting started. Cup and handle break out to all-time highs. You want to see it accelerate from here. By the way, it looks like futures have improved, potentially. It's still retracing. Looks like Robinhood just now updated, though. Like, we have Constellation Energy with this is a big one. CG, man, looks so good. I go into the ground. $210 would be your target for a NVIDIA pullback. It's already up $1.50. It's $217. But this looks like a classic ABC right now. You know, something like this. Down to the 210 maybe. That's what my eyes tell me. Yeah, that's actually the perfect 1-1 ratio. So I'd be looking to see if that plays out. And then if you go back to the pattern to the upside, should do that early this week. Bear me face down. That's like at that previous high. That's a really nice range to bounce and get a continuation to the upside. So I mean, this could be the wave one, wave two retracement right here. Maybe, dude, that perfectly lines up with your 618. That literally might just be a wave one before a wave three explosion to the upside. Wow. Wow. Um, did I post net here already? I think I already posted net because net and Microsoft look like they want a further extension to the upside. They look really clean here. All right, that's quite a bit of names, guys. MRK already breaking out over the top of this. Looks like you're just going to get a straight continuation here. If you get the weekly to flip. Gosh, some of these setups look really good, guys. Like, they look really freaking good. Friday, we literally got the flip on the daily. Oh my gosh. If they're going to take it down, they got to sell early in the week, or we're going to see acceleration of the upside into June. Holy cow. All right, guys. Yeah. That's my thesis. We're going to end this here. I'm going to actually type out my report for members in the Discord. Check out the link down below. That's my thoughts, though. I mean, you need a quick pullback. You need to reverse this daily on the SPY. There's some really beautiful log setups here. I know there's a lot of chaos more broadly across the market, but my word, man, some of these setups look absolutely gorgeous. So have them on your radar, okay? And understand the news might be a big distraction. Interest rates, the war, all of that, because price talks more than anything else. And don't forget that, all right? God bless.